Okay then everybody, welcome to XLR. We have the 9th round of the Tier 2 season today for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Full qualifying ahead of the drivers as usual, unfortunately only 18. I believe we'll have a 19th joining us at a later stage, but for the time being, it is just this 18. So a few cars heading their way out the circuit already, such as Havoc Gamer in the Mercedes. I think the furthest around though is Hutz. Yes, he is. So he's just on his way out of the pit lane. I'm just trying to reorganize everything so I can see all the things I am meant to see. I want that. Right, there we go. No, I don't want to do that. No, stop. Right, there we go. So Hutz is still the furthest around on his outlap. So, gets down the power, and off he goes. So he's on the medium tyres. He's going to begin the first lap of the session. Off goes the McLaren driver into turn 1. Gets it stopped and turned in through the first few corners of the Senate rest. And now round 3 down the Retroposter for the first DRS zone of the lap into turn 4. So 17.3 in the first sector from the Mercedes driver. Havoc Gamer invalidating already in the first few corners. That's not ideal for him. Hutz up the hill now into 6. Now 8. And then in number 9 he gets a bit out of shape there. But he does keep it going on his lap. Now back on the power again. Just a few more corners to go of 11, but I think he's backed off there. Oh, no, that's just his internet playing up. It's a 52.5 from Hutz in the middle sector. And he's going to come to the line shortly. Gets DRS enabled. Up to the line comes the McLaren driver. And he puts himself to provisional P1 with a 1:10.0. It is next. It's the Ferrari of, if I can find him, it's Rolling Dice. Up to the line. Scarlet Ferrari goes to the top of the timing sheets with a 1:09.7. Sorry. Then it's Jamie Dodge on the hard, managing a 1:10.0. Footface goes fast with a 1:09.7. I think we should stop the count there. Unitos has gone faster with a 1:09.6. Not much faster though, to be fair. Jowie with a 1:09.5 on the medium compound 2. And then it's the Haas next to the line. That's just Jay-Z beginning a lap. Then it's the Alpine, I believe, of Nils Toxin going up to the line. Yes, it is. He goes P5, 1:09.8. That's not too bad at all. Well, it is done on the soft tyres, of course, so you always have to take that into account. Swept by Flame just beginning a run. Then it is Hutz again to the line on his way in. Next up, though, Paro to the line. The Williams driver just beginning a flying lap. I believe it's the other Haas, if I can find them. There what? Or maybe there's not two Haas. Oh no, there is a Great Pub in P3. Jamie Cash goes to the top with a 1:09.3. A few more drivers just beginning laps. Then it's Unitos just on his way in, you would assume. Well, actually, he's just beginning another run. Rather than going again, Jamie Dodge on his way in. A pair of 5 seconds up in the first few sectors. And there's a Haas car up the line. That is indeed Jay-Z. He's just beginning a lap though. That's a non-ERS lap from the Haas driver as he does. Swept back flame next to the line as well. DRS active, up to the line comes the Alpine driver. P2 there, 109.5. Now, anyone else on a push lap? VC Ryan in the last few corners. As Aparo jumps up to P3 there. Max also on a run. But it is VC Ryan up to the line. DRS active. Here comes the Mercedes driver. Can only manage P7 there, but he is on the medium tyres. A 109.7. Then the other Mercedes have a gamer on his way in. Perkins on just starting another run, I believe. Unitos goes faster with a 109.2 on the soft compound though. Jamie Cash, I think, just beginning a run as well. Although he doesn't have much ERS to play with if he is. Jay-Z managed to get up to P3 with a 109.4. Footface P6 with a 109.5. Right, who is next up? There's a Williams of Aparo on his way in. There's Perkins. Don't think she's improving at the moment. Hart's just starting a new lap as well. Max just coming to the end of one. He comes to the line, goes P9. That's a good lap, although it is done on the soft tyres. So you have to take it with, I want to say with a pinch of salt. Not really. But it's not quite as promising as it might seem. And Jamie Dodge down in P14 won't be representative. He doesn't... I mean, he's done that on the hard compound, so... Hart's disconnected from the session. That's German internet for you. Footface on his way in. Great Pup just on his way out. He's in his first XLR race today. Reserving for the first time. He's like, I assume he is, yeah. It's one of our newest members reserving in for Kyle today. Max, I doubt will be on a push lap. He'll most likely be coming in. And he's out of fuel, he'll be on his way in. Hartz has rejoined the session. Luke the Blade is coming to the end of a flying run at the moment. He's down in P13 at this stage. That won't be representative of his pace as he comes up to the line and goes into P5. A 109.4. Very solid lap from the Alfa Romeo there. I'm just going to up my audio a tiny bit. There we go. It's not Hearts, that's a Great Pup just beginning a lap, I think. Yeah, he is. Else is on a flying run at this stage. There's Toxin just beginning one, I believe. And I think those two are the only two on laps at the moment. Although Great Pup actually isn't on one. There's a Ferrari coming to the line of Charlie just beginning his next flying lap. The pole sitter in Mexico, and then went on to win the race, despite some struggles with his slightly higher downforce setup. But he did come out victorious in the end, in a battle with himself and Mr. Business. That was the Mexican Grand Prix a couple races ago. And someone jumped up the order there of Nurse Toxin, I believe. Yeah, I found about half a tenth, which was enough to get him ahead of VC Ryan. The Mercedes of Hamlet Gamer just beginning his next lap. And then it did Javi in the coming to the end of the middle sector. But half a tenth up in the first two sectors, so unless he finds a lot of time in that last corner there, I don't think he's going to jump that far up the order. But that being said, Apparel and Footface have actually set the same time now, I just noticed. He's just like almost a 10 to jump him up to P6, gaining 3 places there. Hart's just beginning a lap, then it's VC Ryan, 3 tenths up, going out to the line. And Mercedes goes into P10 with only a 2/10 improvement, but he is still going for these runs on the medium tyres. Jeremy Dodge back to where you sort of expect him in P2, but that was down on the medium tyres as well. Anyone else on the picture up at this stage? There's the Alpha Tauri, that's of Mr. Business, just starting his first lap. You'd always expect to see him in Q3. Havoc Gamer goes into P4 on the soft tyres, but that's still an incredibly impressive lap. It's a very, very strong lap from the Mercedes there. As he goes to the top of the tyres. I think audio might be a bit loud. I'll turn that down a bit. So yeah, that's a very solid lap from the Mercedes driver there, as Hartz goes into P2 with a 109.2. So again, like we've seen so many times, there's 4 drivers there, all comfortably within a tenth of each other. And then it's Perkins just coming to the end of the lap with an 8/10 improvement on the soft tyres. Jumps her up into P11, but that won't be safe. Although there is only 3 drivers knocked out in this Q1 session. Mr. Business coming up to the line now. And understandably, he goes to the top of the timing sheets, a 109.0. 2/10 clear of Tos's time. Then the Alpine all swept back flame, 7/10 up. He goes fastest with a 108.7. That's a very solid lap from the Alpine. Just doubting his abilities slightly earlier on, saying he didn't expect to have very much pace today. Well, he's definitely proven that he does have that pace. So Perkins is not pushing on this lap. Great pop on an out lap there. Jamie Cash on an out lap. I don't think anyone is on a lap at this stage, but Perkins is just beginning one. Unless she pulls into pits, which she does not. So we'll follow along with the McLaren for the time being. She goes into turn 1. Get back on the power chucks it through 2. Gets a bit out of shape on the rear, but keeps it going. Now Plato with DRS active hit down into turn 4. Havoc Gamer retires. That's quite optimistic. Although actually he is P7 and then the drops. Oh, that being said, he's 8 positions above P15, but he's only 2/10 above. That's quite an optimistic retirement there. There's a Williams almost getting in the way of the McLaren, but he just about gets out of the way in time. That would have been a Paro. Now there's the Mercedes of VC Ryan getting out the way as well. Now Perkins chucking it through into the last few corners, coming out to the middle sector split now. Just one proper corner to go, 4.5 up. You can find even more time here through this final corner to see her up into P3 at this stage. Former McLaren driver DRS active gets a bit of a slipstream from the Alpha Tauri ahead, and up the line she goes. It goes into P3. Yeah, like I said, 3.5 found in that lap. That's a very solid lap. Should be quite comfortably into Q3. So I think Havoc Gamer is in a bit of trouble. You'd think with his positioning it'd be quite safe, but with the time, Jeremy Cash goes up into P3 as well. Havoc Gamer now down into P9. That's not safe, particularly not with Cherry behind, with a Paro behind, Luke the Blade, Jay-Z, VC Ryan, all these drivers that can quite comfortably knock him out in Q1 if they get their lap together. And he drops down to P9 now, and now down to P10 as Jay-Z goes faster with a 1:08.6. A very solid lap from the Haas driver, but that's just knocked Howard Gamer even further towards the drop zone. I think he's made a terrible mistake in retiring there. Then it's Hart's just beginning his next lap. Max coming to the end of this one. He needs this lap in the drop zone at the moment. And up the line goes the AvaTari. He finds time, but it's not enough to get him out of that drop zone. VC Ryan, though, can get himself out. Howard Gamer down to P11. And we know he can't improve. Now that's P12. As an improvement from a Paro to go into P5. Then Rolling Dice jumps up into P3. Next up is Chavi, who goes up to the line. And he goes faster with a 1:08.4. Now Havoc Gamers are down in P13 as Perkins and Sweatback Flame both retire. Max has invalidated, so he won't be improving. Footface up to the line could possibly be his final lap of the session. Unitos in the pit lane could be knocked out here. He's quite close to the limit. And with Hearts behind him looking to be about to improve. Footface can't improve though. I think that could well be his last attempt of the session. Luke the Blade just starting on as well. He needs this lap. Max will be able to get around again to start another lap, I assume. Nearest Toxin will be out then. Won't have the time to improve. So it's down to whether... So Haas got himself in P7, which drops Unitos down to P12. So if Luke the Blade improves, then Footface can possibly also improve. Then we could see Havoc Gamer out. I think Unitos and Havoc will just about escape on the edge. But all Footface has to do is find 2/10. And that's the thing. And Luke the Blade's 4/10 up, so he'll quite comfortably get through at this stage, assuming he doesn't lose all that time in the final sector. Up to the line for the Alfa Romeo driver with DRS active. He should get comfortably through into Q2 with this lap, which indeed he does. And now it's all down to Footface whether he can knock Havoc Gamer out. It looks like Havoc Gamer had some serious pace on those soft tyres, but it could all come to nothing just from retiring a bit early. Max is out. There's Toxin on an outlap, doesn't make the flag, so he's out as well. So it's all down to whether Footface can get to the line, or can improve. He's found a 10.5 in that first sector. And this lap looks like it could be enough to knock Havoc Gamer out in Q1. That 10.5 alone will be enough for the time being. Now he gets it round the middle sector, back on the power again. Through these repeated hairpins on the middle sector. Will Footface be able to send Havoc Gamer out in Q1 here? It's coming up through the middle sector split. He's about 2/10 up. But if he keeps it going through this final sector, I think Footface will be able to get himself out of Q1. It's up the line with DRS active for the Aston Martin driver. Does he make it through on the line? No, he doesn't. He's at 2/10 down. And that is Havoc Gamer getting through right to the edge. Although actually, it's only down to 16, so Footface was through anyway. Well, in Q1, it was Cherry top from JT and Sweatback Flame, followed by Rolling Dice and Mr. Business, and then knocked out was Footface crashed before the line. So Footface has been knocked out simply because he crashed on the line. So he would have been through, but then he crashed, and now he's knocked out. So knocked out is Footface, Max, Grey Pup, and Nidus Toxin.
named due to two lakes either side of the area that were originally used for drinking water and hydroelectric power. To join us here today at the Sao Paulo Grand Prix in Brazil, drivers here will be round trip, 71.
So Q2 is underway. You just got the first few drivers heading out onto the track. I'm just trying to sort things out. Where is it? There it is. So in just 8 minutes time, our partner league, GXRS, will also be launching their next season. So if I get the chance, I'll try and put that on for you guys during the break, just so both you guys and me have the opportunity to do something during the break, and to give our friends down at GXRS a nice little shout out, if you like. Got their permission to do so as well. But Hearts goes off on his lap. DRS active. I don't. What? DRS now active for the McLaren driver. He's coming down into 4. He gets his car chucked in back on the power again through 5. And now up the hill towards turn 6 and 7. Chucks his car in. Just got quite a lot of confidence in that car by the looks of things. Although he gets a bit out of shape through that middle sector. Just a few more corners to go now for Hearts on quite a short circuit. They're coming down towards the middle sector split. So 52.5 in those first 2 sectors for the McLaren driver. But now he's got back on the power again, all the way up to the line. He gets DRS activated now, just not long to go for the McLaren driver. And he puts his car to the top of the time sheets with a 109.5. Jamie Dodge behind does a 109.1 on the medium compound 2. Then it's Unitos with a 109.4 on the soft. Perkins with a 109.5 on the medium, so that's not bad at all. Then Habit Gamer in the pit lane. Jamie Cash goes to the top with a 108.8. But he's done that on the soft compound apparent, just beginning his first run. Rolling Dice invalidated. Sweatback Flame with a 108.8. So narrowly ahead of Jamie Cash. Mr. Business 109.2 on that first run. Next up is Chavi to the line, 108.8. So 3 cars in that 108.8 sort of lap time. 109.8 from Jay-Z, but I think, no, he has used ERS on that lap. Typically he does a non-ERS lap at the start of his quali stint, but evidently not this time. And now leave the blade next to the line and sets a 109.3 does the Alfa Romeo driver. Rolling Dice also on that 52.3, I believe it was, in the middle sector. VT Ryan also in the final couple of corners. Habit Game just on his way out onto the circuit. But first up is the Paro to the line. And the Williams drive can only manage 109.5. And that is VC Ryan goes to the top of the timing sheets with a 108.7. Luke the Blade can only manage a 109.3. And I think that's all we'll see for these first runs, for the time being at least. I think Perkins might just be going for another run. Rolling Dice possibly doing so. All, what am I saying? No, he doesn't have the fuel to do that. Perkins going very wide there, so she won't be continuing with that lap. And she's met with the Mercedes of VC Ryan, I believe. No, that's Habit Gamer. Just there. And I think that is the most we'll see for the next few laps. I doubt anyone's going to continue for a second or third run. Although people may have saved up the fuel to do so. Perkins might just be about to start another lap. Although she doesn't appear to be using any ERS, so I think she will be in the pit lane. Indeed she is. Perkins comes in. And Havoc Gamer just beginning the next lap. He gets on the brakes and turned in. Just for the first sector, back on the power again. Now he's flat out round 3. And on to the Retta Reposta for the Mercedes reserve for today, a 17.2 in the first sector. Gets it chucked in for 4, now back on the power again. Goes quite wide onto the curb, but doesn't take too much. And now up the hill, chucks it in again. He's really taking not many liberties with these curbs here. And now, coming around that sector, now back on the power again. Now coming into the next the final few corners now for Havoc Gamer. What? It shows everyone's in the pit. No. Oh, I'm confused. Now Havoc Gamer, just a few more corners one more corner to go theoretically. Flat out from here, up to the line, very close to the wall there. But he puts it P9 109.4 in a Q3 position for the time being, at least, sitting in P9. Untos can only match P10 here. So VC Ryan sits on top after those first runs. So Jay-Z just beginning his second flying run. So he's the first driver to go out for that second run, I believe. Although Havoc Gamer also, but he invalidates his first. 2 tenths up in that first sector. So yeah, there is plenty of time in this lap for the Haas driver. He comes up the hill now. Chucks it in. Back on the power again. Just gets it on the brakes and turned in. Coming into turn 9 now. Gets back on the power. Now he gets going again towards the end of that middle sector. And it is a 151.8. He's a second up. That first sector would see him around a 108. Yeah, a 108.8, which would put him to around where Jamie Cash is in the top 4. And Jay-Z up to the line. He goes fast with a 108.7. What a lap. That is a very good lap for Jay-Z with a 108.7. So he just needs to keep that sort of pace up. Then we could be in for, I believe it would be his first pole position in the league. Jeremy Dodd and Hart's also starting new runs. I'm just trying to get my stuff back. Oopsies. So, Jeremy Dodd coming towards the end of the middle sector for the Alfa Romeo driver. Qualifying is incredibly boring when you don't have someone to talk to. He's 7 tenths up. Is the Australian in the McLaren with DRS at the end of the straight, flat out from here to the line. And now up to the line goes the Alfa Romeo driver to 108.3 to take provisional pole provisional P1 by 0.4 of a second. And next is the two McLaren Perkins giving Hartz a massive toe down this straight. And Hartz goes into P5. It's his teammate just beginning a lap there by the looks of things. Indeed, off she goes. And the Williams of Aparo just leaving the pit lane. Giving Perkins quite a nice toe as well. Luke the Blade up to the line. Now improved by 0.3 but doesn't gain any ground. So many drivers in the 1.088. Or even in the 0.7s as Ryan Dice joins that group with a 1.087. And from... It's less than 0.2, or just over 0.2 from Jay-Z down to Sweatback. It's less than 0.2 down to Hart, just over 0.2 down to Jamie Cash. Now this field is incredibly close due to the competitive nature of the field and also the incredibly short circuit. It's always a really tight field in Tier 2. Mr. Business just beginning a lap as well. Perkins coming at the end of 1.6, hence up. And the McLaren can only manage a 1.089. But again, she's not far off anyone in that top 10 as Unitos jumps up into P5. That's more the sort of region you'd expect him to be in. I think Q3... once we get to Q3, from Jay-Z, like second down to 10th, could be anyone's game, really. And Sweatback Flame jumps up to 1.085. There you go, says he's incredibly bored. That's very interesting. Jay-Z starting a lap as well. Jamie Cash is, I assume, waiting to give someone a toe. Havoc Gamer improved by 0.7 to go up into P3. That's a very, very good lap from the Mercedes driver. But it's still anyone's game. Jamie Cash starts going now. I'm not too sure who he was waiting for. As Mr. Business comes up to the line, improved by 0.6 to a 1.086. And all these drivers starting to improve, but they're not far apart from each other at all. Such a, like a short, flowing circuit. There's not much, not many places to gain time. That's why short circuits are better than longer circuits, in my opinion. 0.7 improvement for Aparo to put him onto onto 1.08.8. I think Unitos might just be starting another lap. There's not long to go in the session as Jay-Z jumps up into P2 there. Get a very solid lap again for the Haas driver. Then it's the Alpine and Sweatback Flame coming into the pit lane. I think with only a few minutes to go, that will be the last thing he does. It's 1:21 there, if that is right. So 1:31. So he might have a chance of getting back out, but the issue is how long it takes to go into the garage. I think that's Mr. Business giving a massive toe to Jamie Cash here. He's going to come up to the line. I think he's just starting a lap. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I think that is what's happening for the Red Bull driver. Xavi goes to P1 with a 1:080 to set the fastest time we've seen in this qualifying so far. Unitos came out to the line, but I don't think he can improve. Howard Gamer saying he beat his time trial time. For the second time this season, apparently. I think that's wrong. Dice up to the line, improved by 0.5. Or maybe he's just no, I think he's just starting a lap there. I think that's a lie. So it's on the lap at the moment. Jamie Cash coming through this middle sector at this moment. Hartz is out. I'm not sure if he retired in the pit lane or if he's crashed out on the circuit. You can't see him anywhere, so I think he's just retired in the pit lane. Jamie Cash is less than a 10th up at this stage, but it should be enough to get him through into Q3. Although in the final sector he didn't improve. And so he stays P11. And that is Jamie Cash out in the second part of qualifying. Perkins going slowly. She's out. Luke the Blade's also going slowly, so he's definitely out. And then Hearts on the Limit might just about make it through here, unless Aparo can find time. No, he can't. Aparo is down on his time. So I think Hearts will just about scrape through. Rolling Dice getting a teammate toe from his teammate, and Aparo pulls in, so Hearts has scraped through in P10. Unless he... I don't think it was on the track. If it was, he won't participate in Q3. But I believe the McLaren retired in the garage, which would see him through into the final part of qualifying. What is Jammy Cash doing?
Something of a throwback circuit.
Alright, so Jammy topping Q2, then followed by Jammy, Dodge, Jay-Z, Sweatback Flame, Mr. Business, Untos, Howard Gamer, VC Ryan, Rolling Dice, and Hearts in P10. And then knocked out by just fractions of a second, 400ths. It's Jammy Cash, then Aparo, Perkins, and Luke the Blade. So, on to Q3 then, and we see if Jammy can be stopped. Q3 is underway. And out goes the Alpine of Sweatback Flame. Although he has to wait for, I believe that was Mr. Business. Yes, it was. Who actually ends up coming out in front. So Mr. Business, the first driver on the racetrack, followed by the Alpine of Sweatback Flame. Quite a few drivers going out early then, but still in the garage. It's Untos on his way out. Hearts is not going out yet, possibly no fresh sets, or only one fresh set. Alright, so Mr. Business just coming in for the last corner. And he's just about to begin his first lap of Q2. As he goes into turn 1 now. And gets the car turned in, gets back on the power again. Takes round 2 the left and onto the retro poster. DRS active and down in towards turn 4. Just barreling down this straight. He gets it stopped and gets the car turned in. Now he's back on the power again. Before heading up the hill. Flicks it up to the right. And again for the double apex of 6 and 7. Gets back on the brakes into turn 8 now. There's the McLaren getting out of his way before he gets back on the power. Just a few more corners to go on this lap for Mr. Business. Not long left for the AlphaTauri driver. Flicks it round 11. They're just onto the brakes for the final proper corner of turn 12. Still theoretically 3 more to go. But he's done all of the lap that he needs to do. And now he just gets on the power. DRS open. And Mr. Business goes to set the early benchmark of a 1:08.8. That's a very solid time. VC Ryan just starting a lap behind him. Next up is Swearback Flame with a 1:08.4. And then it's a 1:08.5 from Rolling Dice. Hart's just starting a lap. 1:08.3 from Jamie Dodge. Chavi can only measure 1:08.4. And then it's Unitos next to the line. And he can only measure 1:09.1 there for Unitos. Quite a poor lap. Howard Gamer invalidating. Will have to go for a second run. Jay-Z, just a few more corners to go. He typically does more than one run in qualifying, although it doesn't look like too bad of a lap so far. Although it's only a 1:09.0 for the Haas driver. BC Ryan with a 51.8 in the middle sector, just a few more corners to go for him. And he's just flat out up to the line from here. Just taking the shortest route possible to break the line as fast as he can. Sticking to the left, does the Mercedes driver. And up the line he goes, it's 1:08.7. It's not bad for a first run. That's only good enough for P5. Hearts can only manage P9 with a 1:09.1. Havoc Gamer just in his garage, probably about to go out. So it's just VC Ryan, Jay-Z and Hart still on the circuit. I believe everyone will just be on their way in. Havoc Gamer just on his way out though. So, VC Ryan will be on his way in. Havoc Gamer on an outlap will be getting underway shortly. Right, and Havoc Gamer is about to get his lap underway. Just with DRS active, off he goes to start what will be his first lap of Q2. Gets the car turned in through the first corner and back on the power again. And now on the race, gets it turned in, gets back on the power again off fairly early apex, but he goes a bit too wide and he has to back out of that one. If he's fueled enough, then he may go again, but I doubt he has. Or possibly he has, or just have to wait and see. And Jamie Dodge just on his way onto the track. So Jamie Dodge on his way out. I think Havoc Gamer has recharged to go again. Yeah, off goes the Mercedes driver for the second attempt this session. And off he goes into turn 1. And he gets it on the brakes and turned in a relatively early apex for the Mercedes driver. Now chucks it in through 2. And round 3 onto the retroposter down towards 4. DRS active for the Mercedes driver all the way. Now on the brakes, a relatively early apex again, so he goes nowhere near that exit curb. Just making sure he doesn't go too wide. Now he's going to flick it up through 6. Again, he's sticking in 7th gear there, he really doesn't want to be. That's what would have limited him. Possibly a 10th or 2 loss there for Havoc Gamer, flicking it round now in turn 9 at this stage. And I don't think it's going to be the ideal run so far. Some of the slightly faster times we've seen have been sort of 51.3s, I think, in the middle sector. So 51.8 from Havoc, which is not ideal. And now he's got to finish up the lap, but I don't think... I think if he finishes it, it's either this lap or another lap. He does choose to finish this lap. He goes up to the line. He manages to go into P6 though, just behind his teammate. That's not bad at all. Jamie Dodge is 3 tenths up further compared to his already provisional pole position time. Now it's going to come up to the line for the Alfa Romeo driver. And Jamie Dodge to the line. And he goes to 108.0. 3/10 improvement. And raises the bar even higher than it already was. Mr. Business 6 tenths up. This lap would see him around P2. With DRS enabled. Here comes the AlphaTauri driver. Can he get his car on the front row? Yes, he can. Almost 7/10 improvement there. Untos next to the line improves by 6/10. Then it's the Haas of Jay-Z, I believe, but he's just beginning a lap. And now it's Hart on an out lap. Havoc Gamer also coming around, but I don't think he'll have the time to get back in and out again. Although possibly he just about will. So it's the Alfa Romeo, Jamie Dodge. He's on his way in. So I think the further around an actual lap at the moment is Jay-Z. He's coming around the middle sector right now. I don't think anyone else around him is on a lap at this stage. It's 1 minute 33 to go for Havoc Gamer. I don't think he'll get it back out in time to set another run. 6/10 up for Jay-Z. That will see him around a .4. So at this stage he would be around P3, around where Sweatback Flame is, with DRS active now for the Haas driver. Cutting it right as close as he can to the wall. And he does go into P3. Almost 7/10 gained. Untos going for another run. And then it's Chavi and Rolling Dice about to begin runs as well. Hart's only 3/10 up. Would only see him to around a .8, which still wouldn't be enough to get him off that bottom spot at this stage. That 10th place wooden spoon of Q3 is a 108.7, which does gain him a few positions. Havoc Gamer does retire. He won't be able to improve. So Havoc will be starting 10th in this session. Hearts will be probably 8th at best. Rolling Dice is down in that first sector. Not entirely sure about Jamie. Jamie Dodge is 3/10 up further. He crucial with .001. He can't quite break the 1 minute 7, but he further still raises his benchmark For the third time this session, he goes to the top of the timing sheets. VC right next to the line, can only manage P8. Drops Hearts down to P9. Then next up is Jay-Z, but I don't think he's pushing. No, he's not. The checker flag 40 doesn't get another run in. Next up is Unitos to the line. He goes to P3, 2/10th improvement. Not bad at all. Next up is Chavi, who's 4.5 tenths up, and he goes to provisional pole position by 2/1000ths of a second. Snatches it away in the dying stages. Wrong Dyke can only manage P6. And Mr. Business up to the line. Doesn't improve in the end. Swept like flame is improving on his time. He is the last driver on a lap. And he goes only into P5 with an improvement just under a 10th. But it's Chavi who snatches pole position away by such a little margin. Only 2/1000ths of a second. Wow, that was close. Alright, and during the break, we'll be able to, instead of just using, just talking like we normally do, we'll actually be able to show you the GXRS Season 8 trailer. Maybe it's Season 7. I'm not entirely sure. It's... So we have this to show you. I'll have to check just how long it is to make sure we do have the time to show it, but it's 15 minutes, so we won't unfortunately have the time. Have to show it. So that being said, Chavi takes pole position from Jamie Dodge and Mr. Business. So that is our top 3. We've got a 7-minute wait. Oh. It's not long until we can get underway now. Hopefully just a matter of seconds. And then we should have the Brazilian Grand Prix in front of us. Hopefully at least. I don't know why I'm saying hopefully. We will have the Brazilian Grand Prix ahead of us. Like, hopefully we have a race today. Yeah, there we go. We were not even told like, to ready up. Okay. But we are underway for the Brazilian Grand Prix. There's not much to run through with the tyre compounds then. It's mediums all across the board, besides Jamie Cash in P11 and Perkins down in P13. Everyone else choosing or favouring that yellow walled medium compound. So, just with the formation lap underway, Javi leading them off from Jamie Dodge and Mr. Business, followed by Unitos, Sweatback Flame, Jay-Z, Rolling Dice, VC Ryan, Hearts and Havoc, Gamer in P10, and then Jamie Cash on the only two drivers on the hard compound, Aparo, Perkins, the other driver on those hards, then it's Luke the Blade, Footface, Max, Great Pup, and Nidus Toxin rounding off the grid. As not long till we go. There's 5 red lights to begin the Brazilian Grand Prix. And so, Chammy just getting ready to park up on his grid spot for the race start. And then it'll be Jamie Dodge, Mr. Business, and Unitos rounding off row 2. They're all just parking up and preparing for the 36 lap race ahead of them. The Brazilian Grand Prix starting very shortly. Just waiting for the last drivers to line up on the grid. There's Toxin just missing his grid spot. But here we go. For a Brazilian Grand Prix to 5 red lights. There's lights out and away we go. Seems to be the better start there for old Jamie Dodge. He's getting already alongside the Ferrari driver into turn 1, but it did Cherry the still leads from Jamie Dodge. And then Mr. Business attacking on the outside, but he can't make any moves so far. Sweatback Flame getting past Unitos there for P4. But then Mr. Business on board with him coming down. A red reposter on the inside of the Alfa Romeo driver. Is he going to go for that move? They're going to be side by side through turn 4 for second place. And it is Mr. Business to squeeze his way ahead by kind of pushing the Alfa Romeo onto the curb. And that invited Sweatback Flame to go through as well. And it's all we've relatively come off that race start. Jamie Dodge dropping all the way down to P4. And Jamie Cash getting past VC Ryan there as well. Havoc Gamer looking to follow suit. We just don't have camera angles here. Aparo and the blade side by side. There's Connor there at the back. That's Aparo spun round. And there's Toxin and Grey Pup involved in that. But they're all still going. But here goes Mr. Business on the inside of Cherry for the race lead from third on the grid. Takes that race lead at the end of lap 1. And Jeremy Dodge and Unitos going to be side by side through 1 and 2. They're side by side. There's Jay-Z looking to get involved as well. He goes past 1. He's going to get past a pair of them here. But he can't make the move. Jeremy Dodge with slightly lower downforce by the looks of things. Pulls to the outside, JD on the inside. There's a bit of corner between the two of them there, I think. And Jeremy Dodge sends half spinning into the row area, but big corner. And then that is at the front row there. Oh, Jeremy Dodge spun round to turn 4 on the second lap. I think he's managed to avoid picking up any damage, but he is indeed facing the wrong way there. It's been a disastrous start for that Alfa Romeo then. Going from pole position down, not pole position, almost pole position, had it snatched away from him. That's Hart's, I think, with an illegal overtake there on his teammate. He almost had pole position, had it snatched away from him by Xavi, and now he's fallen down to basically last at the end of, by lap 2. As Mr. Business leads them away. Then Sweatback Flame gets on the grass, goes right off the track, and now he's just looking to go for a move on the Alpine as well. Goes right around the outside. And that mistake from Sweatback's cost him so much time and a position. The side-by-side there, VC Ryan and Jamie Cash going wheel to wheel. VC Ryan goes a bit wide, and that's the Red Bull going back through. And now he's side-by-side with Perkins. He's going to go round the outside. Yes, he hit into 6. That's a good move in a place you don't normally see that many overtakes. And there's the yellow flag there for Great Pup off the track. That's off at 6. And Xavi right on the back of Mr. Business this time around. And he'll get the DRS as well. With DRS active now. Gonna go up to the line. And into turn 1. Xavi on the inside for the race lead. Gets the move done. Into the corner. Side by side with Mr. Business. Gets a bit screening out. And there's Toxin's out there. That's in the pit. Is that in the pit? And that's in the middle of the track. He's retired there. Mr. Business gets himself back ahead of Xavi. They're going to be side by side. Jay-Z gets himself ahead of Rolling Dice as well. I'm not entirely sure what happened to the Alpine there. But we're not seeing a safety car for it. Jeremy Dodge coming out of the pit lane, having made contact and spun around. Havoc Gamers out! Up at turn 6. I think safety car's turned off. There's no way. There's been 2 instances and neither of them are a safety car. Havoc Gamer has gone off. I'm trying to see what happened. I think he might have just understeered. Or maybe there was some contact, but he's off. Now Xavi, just like on the previous lap, is closing in on the AlphaTauri driver in P1. DRS active for the Ferrari. He's going to close in. He's going to go to the inside. And he does pull himself through. And it's going to be side by side though into turn 1. And it's a bit out of shape for Xavi on the exit. And that's going to invite Mr. Business back through. Who goes back into the race lead down the Retro Poster. And he retakes the race lead away. I think Xavi would be making a slightly smarter decision if he kept going. Jay-Z and Rolling Dice having a battle. Jamie Cash gets himself ahead of Perkins there. Paro changing a front wing there in the back. So Xavi again will be on the back of Mr. Business down the straight. Xavi with DRS is closing in on Mr. Business. But I think this time around he might not go for the move, but he does seem to be going for it anyway. Sweatback Flame gets past Unitos for P3, but this time Xavi sticks behind. And he'll get the DRS this time around, down the Retro Poster. And he opens his rear wing flap now. But I think this time he's just a bit too far back to be able to go for a move. Yes, he is. So Mr. Business does maintain the race lead this time around. Doesn't even have a battle about it. Jamie Cash tumbling down the positions. It's a 4-way battle there. Perkins going round the outside. I should have a moment quickly. Just to Okay, you don't need to tell me. There we go. A Para picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Joey, but this time Joey is quite a bit closer than he was on the previous lap. Get the DRS enabled and into the turn 1. Will he be close enough this time around? He's not quite, but he does lift off at the end of the straight to stay behind the AlphaTauri. He gets a bit out of shape on the rear end though. DRS active. He closes in, but he's not close enough. Goodness sake. As Jay-Z gets past Rolling Dice this time around, Perkins is right in that scrap with Jamie Cash and VC Ryan. And Max, his AI does get lapped by Mr. Business and Chavi. He is back in the session, albeit a lap down. I think Mr. Business is just keeping Chavi at a perfect distance, although the AlphaTauri does the Ferrari does have that bit more ERS to use. Although he's not going to be close enough to get a move into turn 1, and I doubt one into turn 4 either. Same thing like this previous lap. Rolling Dice gets himself back ahead of Jay-Z. But I think, yeah, through goes the hazards. It's a bit of a mistake on the exit for the Ferrari driver. Jamie Cash on the back of Perkins. He's probably going to make that move into turn 4. Down the retro apostle he goes. Pulled to the outside of the McLaren. Tried to go all the way around the outside. But Perkins parks the car perfectly. Doesn't leave him any space. But he pulled to the inside. Into turn 6. He does back out of it. He thought about it. But I think that would have been just asking for an incident if you tried to send it there. Especially considering how far Perkins was over to the right. Just right the way to the right. He wouldn't have been able to go for a move there. I genuinely thought he was going to try it though. Cherry's still not close enough with even with the DRS. He can't close in enough as he would need to. But with DRS, he still can't close in. VT Ryan's got past Jamie Cash this time around into turn 1. I think Perkins is a bit too far back to get the DRS from the blade. He's sticking with Mr. Business. The gap staying about the same, of about that half a second window. They were trading initially, but now they're kind of just keeping their distance. Not going too close, but they're closing in, but they're not. They are closing in, but they're not closing in too greatly. But this time around, I think he is close enough with the DRS. He might go for it into turn 1 this time, and yes, he does. Chavi to the inside. Oh, Mr. Business gets the move done. And now Mr. Business round 2 and into 3. He wants to keep as close to the back of the Ferrari as he can. And with the DRS, he gets a slingshot down the retro poster. And Mr. Business can't cover... Chavi can't cover that one enough. And Mr. Business does move back into the race lead. Thought Chavi would be a bit close enough to go for one into 6, but he's not close enough to be able to go for one up there. You have to be properly alongside to be able to go for that move, and he wasn't close enough. So the gaps are just starting to open out in the field. Like you've got you've got sort of 2-car, 3-car groups. Then there's this one of 4. And then it's not really any groups here. Perkins has got the DRS of Luke the Blade though, but they have Gap, Jammy Cash and VC Ryan, which will always be good for their race. And just on the inside of Sweatback Flame, they're going to be battling it out here. Sweatback Flame will get the run and the DRS onto the Retro Poster. While the Aston Martin driver is ahead for now, they have been pulled to the outside. And they're going to be side by side into 4. Sweatback on the outside, there's a bit of contact between the two of them. Sweatback gets sent over the curb. And Uno stays ahead for now. As VC Ryan on the inside of Jammy Cash. The Red Bull tried to turn in, but there's a Mercedes there. And he, very similarly to what we saw with Sweatback and Unitor, Jammy Cash is forced to go that little bit wide onto the curb. And now at the front, Xavi again within 4 tenths to Mr. Business. And this time he might be able to make the move even sooner down the straight with DRS open. Although I don't think he is quite close enough. He might go for another. Might go for one. Oh, Unitor's going very, very wide at turn 1. Similarly to what Sweatback did earlier in the race, and then he rejoins very close to Rowan Dice, which will give the Ferrari driver the DRS down towards turn 4. And now he's in the span of just a few corners. He's lost 2 positions of Rolling Dice goes through on the inside of the Aston Martin. He's now gone from 3rd down to 5th in the span of just 2 corners. And I think this gap at the front is going to stay very similar. Now Sweatback Flame's kind of in a world of his own in P3. But there are worse places to be. Xavi with the DRS again. Neither of them are using ERS at this stage. And Xavi, is he going to pull to the inside? He doesn't this time around. He might go for it. Down the Retro Poster into turn 4. Mr. Business goes a bit deep there by the looks of things. Into 2. But I think he pulls away that bit too much for Xavi to be able to close back in. Indeed he does. Rolling Dice and Untos changing positions into turn 1. But I think the Ferrari driver down the Retro Poster pulls to the outside of the Aston Martin. And they're side by side. Rolling Dice gets squeezed a tiny bit onto the curb. And Untos does stay ahead. The Aston Martin remaining ahead of the Ferrari for the time being. This time around, Xavi is so much closer than he was the previous lap. Even before the DRS, he pulls to the outside of Mr. Business. And I think that is the Ferrari driver through into P1. And before even reaching the corner, long before Xavi pulls ahead of Mr. Business, it probably won't be too long until we see these guys into the pit lane as well. Now Mr. Business falling back down to 4 tenths back already, down into turn 4. Down the Retro Poster. Is he going to pull to the outside? No, he doesn't. He just has to stick behind. That is Xavi back up into the race lead where he started. And just back on the inside of Rolling Dice. They're going to be side by side. Rolling Dice with a better exit. He's going to pull to the inside. And that's Xavi off at turn 6. From the race lead, he spun around down. He drops down to P3 on the road. And possibly down to 4th, maybe even 5th. He's now in this battle with Rolling Dice and his teammate Rolling Dice. He's spun around at 6, but he gets himself back up into 4th there. Oh, there's contact with Jay-Z and Rolling Dice there. They made it that little bit of contact. And that's just invited JD to go back through. And now look at the Blade sitting here. But I think he's a bit too far back to be able to go for any moves. Although you never know. Here goes Ryan Dice getting himself back ahead of Jay-Z on the straight. Quite away before the corner. Pulls himself ahead. And Luke the Blade as well does go to the outside of the Haas driver. Makes the move done. Jay-Z tries to fight on the curb. But does go a bit. Takes a bit too much curb. Can't get the move. Now Mr. Business 6 seconds clear at the front of the field. So, Mr. Business now leads from Sweatback Flame and Untos with Chabby dropping down to P4 then. Having gone off up the hill at 6. Great Pup gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He's down in 15th. And Perkins gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings as well. The McLaren driver. Just as these gaps just starting to open up in the field. No safety cars as of yet. Ryan Dice with the DRS on his teammate as well. But I think he's a bit too far back to go for any moves. But he does need to be cautious of Luke the Blade behind. Yeah, they're all a bit too far back to make any moves into turn 1 this time around. So I think... But possibly down the Retro Reposter. Here goes Rolling Dice on his teammate. Pulled to the inside. And into turn 4. He gets himself ahead before the corner. And that is up into 4th place for the Ferrari. Just throughout the field, there's a bit deep there for Luke the Blade in the Alfa Romeo. But he does still keep the car ahead of Jay-Z behind. And Perkins here on the hard tyres will have the tyre advantage on that second stint as well. When they do all eventually come into the pit lane, which probably won't be too long. And as I say that, Mr. Business comes into the pits from the race lead. Sweatback Flame stays out. So does Unitos and Rolling Dice. But Charlie's also in. So they're all going on to a set of the hard tyres. Charlie's better in the pit lane. From pole position with that spin. Seemingly ruining his race. And now that 5-second time penalty is going to ruin his race even more. So Mr. Business emerges. He's P8 at the moment. I think he drops down to P9 behind Jeremy Cash. That's where I will stay. So Mr. Business emerges in P9 with just alongside his teammate, who is unfortunately a lap down, having been disconnected and running under AI for the first handful of laps. So now Sweatback Flame leads the Brazilian Grand Prix. Although he does have to pit, will quite likely be at the end of this lap. But you can never quite tell. Some people take very different strategies, especially when it comes to league racing. Luke the Blade pulls ahead of Rolling Dice before the corner. But that would have been possibly a tactical move from the Ferrari driver, because he gets that DRS and he pulls to the outside. But Luke the Blade does peel in for pit lane anyway, so does Jay-Z. So it's now just Rolling Dice and Perkins still out on the circuit. Sweatback Flame and Untos staying out. We'll have to see how Luke the Blade and this lot come out compared to Chavy, who's just coming in towards turn 1 now. He just comes across the line now. He'll get himself ahead of this group, crucially for him. Although it won't be by much. As he comes out, I think he's going to emerge about a second ahead. And it ends up that he actually got the DRS from these cars in the pit lane. He does emerge in front, but it's not much. It's about 2 seconds, the gap from Chavy to Luke the Blade. So Chavy will probably emerge in that sort of P4 window that he was in before, just behind the leader Mr. Business and Sweatback Flame and Unitos. Unless the undercut's that powerful that he ends up getting past either of them. but I doubt it is, as Jamie Cash picks up a 3-second time penalty. Sweatback Flame stays out, and so does Unitos. Everyone's staying out for the time being. Rolling Dice pulls into the pit lane, but not before giving Charlotte Perkins another round of DRS. But both Ferraris are sped in the pit lane here. Rolling Dice also picks up a 5-second time penalty. So it's gone from bad to worse for Ferrari, as their pole sister spun and then sped in the pit lane. And now his teammate as well, but Xavi does set the fastest lap of the race. He is the fastest car on the circuit at this stage. But with that 5-second time penalty and the lack of track position, will it be enough? So the Blade and Jay-Z both jump Rolling Dice with that undercut, seemingly quite powerful around this Interlagos circuit today. Just look at how quickly Mr. Business is starting to catch Perkins as well. It's been a relatively clean race so far. Only 2 retirements, neither of them translating into a safety car. Yeah, Mr. Business gained about half a second of Perkins since last I checked, which was around the middle sector. So yeah, it's comfortably faster to be on these fresh tyres right now. Here comes Xavi on foot face as well, but the Aston Martin does pull into the pit lane off those 18-lap tyres, which could possibly mean that his teammate's coming in the next lap. Here comes Jay-Z to the inside of Luke the Blade. Gets it in on the brakes into turn 1, and that is the Haas driver into P7. So the yellow flag, that's the McLaren of Hearts off at 1. On the exit of 1, that is. So, possibly after some contact with either Jamie Dodge or VC Ryan, or maybe he just spun on his own. We'll just have to wait and see until in post-race is when we get to see what happened with these incidents. Mr. Business only 1.1 seconds behind Perkins here. But he's not going to get the DRS quite yet. He'll get it into turn 4, most likely down the Retroposta. Let's see. What have I just done there? Yeah, he's only 7 tenths back. He will get the DRS this time around. As Xavi sets the fastest lap of the race again, there's a yellow flag. That's in the final sectors. I believe it's for Max. But quite possibly it's for Hearts. Mr. Business does get past Perkins into P3 on the brakes for turn 4. And now actually, he's only about 2 seconds behind these leaders, and he's already made a pit stop. So this is just how powerful the undercut is. Because you're about 2 seconds ahead of, I think it was about 4 seconds ahead of these guys before the pit stops, and now he's 4 seconds behind Sweatback. So it's a massive gain for Mr. Business so far. So it's not been worth it for Unitos and Sweatback to stay out. I think they just need to come in as soon as they can. Although both of them do stay out. As you know, Unitos does come into the pit lane. So Sweatback Flame stays out further. Unitos comes into the pits, possibly for a set of softs at this stage. As Jamie Cash about to be passed by Xavi. There's a bit of contact between the two of them. Jamie Cash trying to defend on old tyres. Unitos does indeed go onto the soft compound. But Jamie Cash goes straight on at turn 1. Can't defend it. And through goes Xavi quite comfortably in the end. Up into P4. Jamie Cash tried to defend as hard as he could. Yeah, Unitos drops all the way back here behind Rolling Dice. Which is how much time he lost from staying out. As Hearts comes in. It's quite a powerful undercut around this circuit today. And Mr. Business only 3 seconds off the race lead. And those 3 seconds are only going to keep coming down as he's up against a driver on 21 lap old mediums when he's on 5 lap old hards. I think Sweatback should come into the pit lane this lap. Indeed he does. in comes the Alpine driver. And this is going to drop him. But he's better than the pit lane as well. It would have dropped him down to around where Untos is. Now it's almost certainly going to drop him behind. Because even if he comes out ahead, he'll still end up behind on the... like, by the end of the race, when that time penalty gets applied. Jamie Cash stays out further. All of that means that the Blade is now up into a podium position, with Jay-Z fighting him as well. So Jay-Z could be on for a podium here as well in the Haas car. But I think it is Luke the Blade does stay ahead for now, and he'll get the DRS next time around. On top of that, all of this means that Mr. Business now leads by 10 seconds to Chavi. And then the next car is 15 seconds behind in Luke the Blade. And speaking of Luke the Blade, he's being really held up here, trying to go for the move on Jamie Cash. Jamie moving really quite late to try and defend. And that's invited Jay-Z to go for the move. There's a bit of contact between the two of them, Jamie Cash and Jay-Z. Getting into a bit of contact. Just Jamie try to fight all these guys on such old tyres. And Jay-Z will get the DRS, but so will the Red Bull. The Haas car pulls to the outside, but Jamie Cash pulls into the pit lane. I doubt Jay-Z will be happy about how aggressively the Red Bull defended, considering he was about to pit anyway. So Jamie Cash changes a front wing as well. But now all this has allowed Sweatback Flame, Untos and Perkins. They're all pretty much in this train of all these cars from third downwards. And now Sweatback and Untos will be working their way to cut through as they can on fresher and faster tyres. There's a yellow flag. That is Jeremy Dodd. I think it's around at turn 4. Yes, it is. From second on the grid, he's now facing the wrong way. And third faces into P10. You never know. It could be possible. The Freddo could be on. With that being said, he does have a 3-second time penalty. But so does a Paro behind him. Here comes Sweatback Flame on Jay-Z. Pulls to the outside long before the corner. Before even the DRS zone. Get the move done. Rolling Dice goes for the move on Luke the Blade as well. He gets the move done into turn 1. Now let's Sweatback Flame into P5. Untos trying to go around the outside. And he gets himself into P6. Charlotte Perkins closing up to this train as well with the fastest lap of the race. Sweatback Flame closing in, but it's not enough to get past any of these cars around him. Jamie Dodge comes into the pit lane there. So all of this is, I think, Sweatback Flame is looking the favourite to get past these cars, but can he find the time? Although Untos as well will end up ahead of them after all of these time penalties for Ryan Dice and Sweatback Flame. I think ultimately Chavi's 5-second time only won't matter. The Blade goes very deep there. And now he's side by side with Sweatback, who looks like he's about to get that move work. And around the outside, yes he does. That's Sweatback Flame up into P4 here in the Brazilian Grand Prix, with not long left to go, and he's on those faster tyres too. I don't think the Blade will get a chance to fight him again, but on the straight he is quite significantly faster than Sweatback. Is he going to go for a move? No, he doesn't, but someone that does go for a move is Untos, diving past him and gets up into that 5th place. And now Untos takes that P5 position away. And here comes Sweatback Flame on the outside of the Ferrari driver. And he takes that final podium place away. But once penalties are applied, it will go to Untos at this stage. So there's a yellow flag. That's a car off of great power lap down. Gone off at turn 6. I think at this stage it's unlikely we'll see Sweatback Flame opening up a 5-second gap to Untos behind him, considering they're both on the same compound and in the same compound of similar like freshness. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. Maybe it is a word. Now with DRS, Unitos doesn't have enough to get past Rolling Dice, but through the corner he will get a better run on those softer tyres. Should get better traction off the corner. And now round 3, onto the Retro Buster we go. But they both still have DRS. Unitos is gaining though. He pulls to the outside. Is he close enough to make a move? He goes all the way around the outside. He gets squeezed slightly onto the curb by Rolling Dice. There's going to be still side by side. Up into turn 6, I think Rolling Dice just has to back off. Yes, he does. And that is the Aston Martin up into that 4th place position. And in a net podium with Sweatback's penalty. And now they're also cutting into Xavi's advantage as well on those softer tyres. Unitos could be on for P2 here, because they're currently about 4.5 seconds behind, and both the cars ahead of him have 5-second time penalties. So as it stands, Unitos is in a net P2 position, but he doesn't have DRS to put himself along, and that's allowed Rolling Dice to catch back up, but he won't have the opportunity to go for a move this time around, and I think he's a bit too far back to go for one into the Retro Poster, or down the Retro Poster I should say. Yeah, he is indeed a bit too far back, unless he goes for a move, which he doesn't quite. He had a little think about it, didn't go for one in the end. Hearts is disconnected from the session. I'm sure he should receive an invite. Jamie Cash gets another 3-second time penalty. That is his 6th of the race. So he's sitting a second and a half behind Footface. Footface could genuinely be on for points here. Sweatback Flame still sitting around 3 seconds behind Javu. I don't think he's going to be able to find any more time. And although that being said, he's just gained 2 tenths on that exit alone. But I think the issue these guys are going to start to face is their soft starting to go off. They will be about 10 laps old by the end. As Max picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. And now it's down to 2.4 seconds, the gap to Xavi. And now Unitos also has the DRS here. He's gaining, but he's not close enough. But I think it won't be long until we see these guys starting to catch up to the Ferrari ahead of them, who started on pole but just really struggled in the race with that mistake, and then that 5-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane. It's got to be one of the worst feelings when you speed, especially when you're in a good position, because you can't even serve it. You can be in a safety car period 10 seconds ahead, you speed into the pit lane, and then you have that penalty for the rest of the race because you can't serve it in that same pit stop. That being said, it's now only 2.5 seconds. They really are starting to close into that gap. But will it be enough to catch and pass by the end of the race? I'm not entirely sure, but Unitos goes to the inside on Sweatback Flame. He now takes that 3rd position on the track. The Sweatback tries to fight it back. He's got a much better exit, but he just has his run compromised by the Aston Martin going slowly there. But he pulls to the inside this time around, and I think he does get the move done into turn 4. And yes, he does. Sweatback Flame back into 3rd position, although he will still lose out when time penalties are applied. There's a yellow flag. That's Jay-Z going facing the wrong way at turn 4. But he does get himself back going again in P8. This Footface was overtaken by Jamie Cash, so I think the Freddo's off. I don't think he's getting his Freddo. But you never know, if Jay-Z has some damage, he could get it. Yeah, it's 2.4 seconds. I don't think we're gonna see Sweatback Flame catching. Sweatback Flame 2.4 ahead of... still 2.4 behind. They're not going to catch him by the end of the race. It just... Does he have enough? No, he doesn't. Not... He doesn't get enough speed to be able to go for a move into 4. And with only 6 laps to go now, they're not going to catch Abu. It's going to be close. Unitos will get that P2 on the result, if it stays this way at least. But Sweatback Flame, I doubt he'll be able to get that podium this time around. He may even lose out to Rolling Dice behind, which it will be close at this stage. The gap's just under 5 seconds, so he will just about get he will stay ahead of his Ferrari teammate. So, bit of business now. He's just closing in on his reserve teammate of Max. I think he's going to go 2 laps down now. And so Sweatback is not going to be able to catch... He's not going to be able to catch Chavi by the end of the race. That means Perkins pulls to the inside of Luke the Blaze on the soft tyres, gets past the slightly older hard tyres, but she does have a 3-second time penalty which she'll have to serve at the end of the race. So I think Luke will stay ahead come the results. But we've not even talked about Mr. Business all race. He's just kind of been there and kept going. He took the lead at the end of lap 1. He's lost it a few times with some battling, but he's never looked like he's going to lose that second place. And then when Chavi made that mistake, he completely capitalised on that. And now there's only 4 laps to go for him. And yeah, it's just been a comfortable one out here for Mr. Business. Chavi sitting in P2, which he'll fall to P3 once he has that 5-second time penalty applied due to a mistake of his own. Otherwise, he possibly could have been battling for that race win. But he's going to have to settle for P3 at this stage, which is still a solid result for him, but it's not quite the result he would have wanted. I don't think we're likely to see any more battles until the end. Sweatback Flame and Untos are still going to be sharing the same piece of tarmac, but I don't think either of them are really prepared to go fully committed for a battle, because they know they're going to swap positions anyway on the results, just due to that 5-second time penalty that Sweatback received. Although Untos he is close enough this time around, pulls to the inside, gets that move done into P3. And Sweatback might try to fight it back down the Retroposter into turn 4. But I don't think he's close enough. There's a yellow flag. That's VC Ryan going slowly. He's out of fuel. It's lap 34. VC Ryan's out of fuel. He's going to pull into the pit lane. He's going to pull into retire. He's run out of fuel. He's been banking on a safety car all race. And one never came. And that is VC Ryan's race over. And that puts Footface back into P10. But Sweatback Flame has got another time penalty. It's now 8 seconds for the Alpine driver. And that means he's going to lose out to Rolling Dice as well. Well, once time bounties are applied. Because it's now a 5-second time penalty that he's got compared to Rolling Dice, rather than just a 2-second penalty, as Unitos pulls back ahead of Sweatback. Just gets the move done quite comfortably, a long way before the corner as well. So there's a yellow flag there. I'm not entirely sure what that yellow flag was for. Possibly for a car slowly rejoining the track. Sweatback can't get back past Una then. As Luke the Blade pulls back ahead of Perkins. But Luke has also got a 3-second time penalty now, so this is for position. As Luke goes a bit wide through 6. But Charlotte can't get the movement. Oh, there's contact between the two of them. And that's when Luke the Blade spinning around. At turn 8, that is. And that will be a quite simple penalty for Charlotte, which is just a shame. But going on to the final lap now. It's been, like, he's just been in control the entire time, hasn't he? He's been in complete control this entire race. Even when he was battling, he always looked like he was going to regain the lead. And now he's got one of the shortest laps of the calendar to enjoy for just one last time. Just keeping it within the lines, although that wouldn't matter too much either way. Sweatback Flame pulls back ahead of Untos, but it's trivial at this stage, to be honest. And with how worn their tyres are, they won't be faster than the hards anymore. I mean, 1.7 seconds is the gap from Sweatback to Roy Dice, so we will lose that podium place. But around the final corner then, it's been in complete control the entire race. But now around the final corner for the AlphaTauri driver, and it's Mr. Business who wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. And then he's going to be followed across the line by Xavi in the Ferrari with a 5-second time penalty as well. And that's Sweatback Flame who brings it home P3. Untos takes that P3 spot away. Rolling Dice gets P4. And Untos misses out on that P2 by about half a second. And Luke the Blade P7, but he'll be promoted back to P6. And Charlotte Perkins and Never Sleep will get a penalty for that incident. Jamie Cash will come home P9. Footface will get P10 on the road. But Jamie Dodge doesn't want to take it. So Footface will get P10. Jamie Dodge could have taken that point away from him. He's fighting for the title, but he chose to give it to Footface instead. And then Hart's out of fuel there. Just the final driver. Just to cross the line. And that was the Brazilian Grand Prix. So then, Mr. Business took home victory, followed by Xavi and Unitos, and then that followed by Rolling Dice and Sweatback Flame. Charlotte Perkins coming home P6 with the fastest lap as well. And then Luke the Blade, Jay-Z, Jamie Cash, and Footface scoring the final point. Then it's Jamie Dodge, Hearts, Aparo, Max, Great Pup, VC, and then not finishing is VC Ryan, Havoc Gamer, and Nidus Toxin. And that was the Brazilian Grand Prix. And thanks to everyone watching the stream, and we will see you tomorrow for the Italian Grand Prix of Tier 1. Until then, good night.